So what is your name?
Elizabeth Whiteeye. But I go by Liz. Whiteeye.
Again, thank you for being interviewed. I think I'm laughing though because of my anthrop class. I'm doing only portraying a part of this, but later I'm actually gonna have a bigger. And actually, I'm planning on turning into. There's this thing where you can where undergrads turn in their papers and stuff, and research because I'm this stuff isn't since the Omaha program. That's what I was really excited for. That's why I'm actually planning on hopefully getting my PhD and stuff and trying to reinstate that because this is dying. And you guys are doing a great thing here, but I feel weird as a white person learning this, but he said it's fine, it's dying. Someone needs to learn it. So anyway, so tell me about the stuff you do in culture class.
In culture class?
Mm-hmm. And what kind of stuff you do to help preserve the.
I have K through 12 every day. So I have 3 full classes with high school. 2 classes one class will be from 3rd grade to 6th grade. And my other elementary class will be kindergarten to 2nd grade.
That's always a fun age. My mom's a teacher herself.
Then have junior high.
Okay, junior high and then high school.
Yeah. My first thing I do with my high schoolers is get across history to them.
That's probably really important because God knows all the history that we've been taught, especially with my boyfriend. My boyfriend had a shit teacher that said, you guys gave up the land. I'm no. And I'm fuck. No. That's not what happened. And I'm especially my grandpa was a history teacher. I'm no, that's not what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to be taught from, most, because basically, I remember learning history is basically it was written by the victors, and unfortunately my people are the victors that took everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so it needs to be taught especially from the natives' point of view as well, because or else you're not getting the full story.
Yeah. So I give them the history of Omahas, how they got here, who we branched off from.
You branched off from the Ponca, correct?
Yeah, Ponca. There was Dakota with us at one time, Ojibways. There was some more from the north.
Mm-hmm.
Quapaw was with us at one time. And they moved farther down in the north, eastern part of Oklahoma.
Because we do have an anthropology of the Great Plains here, but surprise, surprise, it's taught by white, an ancient person who's white. She's good, but I think she wanted Teese to come, and I'm no, Teese doesn't like to talk. I can interview her, and I can report back. But we basically learned, we didn't learn about, the branching off of cultures, which I really wish we did, because that's what I'm really interested in. Anthropology, I'm possibly majoring in that. There's also biological anthropology, which I hate, because that's just monkeys. I'm focused on linguistic, which they don't really have strong as since they got rid of the Omaha stuff, in a couple years ago, because I knew that it was there, and then I found out it wasn't there, and I was really disappointed, because I really wanted to learn that. And they have a really good cultural program in archaeology, but they don't have linguistics, and that's partially what I'm doing all this for, so I can. This is technically my first field research, actually going into the field, which is kind of big because this is what we do.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me. Anyway, so yeah, the history of the tribes, I find that fascinating because I'm white, but I claim ancestry mostly from Czech, and that's always interesting, and languages are fascinating, and unfortunately, the app for the native basic languages, that's the only source I can find for actual audio recordings. Or else I would never be able to find out how to actually pronounce them. And then the book, I actually bought the book from the university. Unfortunately, Nancy Rolitz, my professor who taught she said that he's dead. So I'm okay. It's a good book, though, for grammar-wise, because that's... I don't remember. I have the book. Oh, it's that book, actually, right there.
Okay. Yeah, I go into that, too. I have...
I started on the beginning, and then I just flipped to the one on the cultures.
Wait, baby.
Oh.
Hold on. Go over that way. Okay. And then I have another one that was
Yeah, and another the problem with that though, they were talking about greetings and stuff, and I was telling like T's like they don't have like a whole it's like only for men. She's like that's not true. That's not how they use them. So I had to make notes. I'm like, damn it. I'm like, come on.
Women don't say that word.
I know. That's what she said. And then like
our greetings to each other would be Iania.
Iania. How do you spell that?
Iania would be how are you?
Because they don't have that actually built in the book in like the language section.
Okay, I'm going to show you this real quick.
Awesome.
This is a book that they made back in the 70s, and then 1997 they kind of came out with it. They revised it. People that had done this curriculum for they're all gone today.
Yeah.
So it goes into all of this, and the word that I asked you, Iania. Wait. Oh. It's kind of covered up here.
It's okay.
Iania is how are you? I have it on the door.
Yeah, I can probably take notes of that later because the thing is they don't. It's like teaches like they actually like everybody says I'm like okay, and I'm like I mean I get that because a lot of the time like it actually does a really good like because languages I really want to like focus on linguistic anthropology. Unfortunately, there's not focusing kind of cultural linguistics because unfortunately at UNL they don't have those resources, and I hope to change that. Because I have them with 5-generation teachers and everybody's saying they should be a teacher, but I don't want to major in education because I know because you can actually do a lot with anthropology and yeah, I was going somewhere. God damn it, brain. ADHD's fun.
Easier to communicate with anybody else, and they're only there till like 6 o'clock or 7.
But yeah, so it's great. Actually, I'm like that's like the best $30 I ever spent. Like, so my parents like, why did you buy that? I want to learn. Because I'm putting Czech on hold because my dad's side is super Czech. My grandpa could speak Czech fluently, and now my grandparents have all these signs in Czech and they don't even know what to say. But this is more of a challenge.
Yeah, so this has a lot of stuff in here, a lot of history stuff.
A lot of cultural
but the
stuff.
thing is that you gotta remember, because like my husband is with me, because he has to do the male part, and I do the female part. And there's a lot of times I can't get it, I can't pronounce it right. So I will keep saying it, and then he'll help me. So we kind of like teamwork that.
Now the ones that are really getting me right now are the acts like the.
Yeah.
Because I can't do this. There's a reason I didn't take German.
I always do this. Like here you go. You're popping up that big greenie right there.
Yeah.
That's your throat.
Yeah.
Amahbi. Cloudy. It's cloudy out.
And then the BTH. I'm getting that. It's just a little bit weird because there's an L in there.
The TH is an L.
I know, and they said that in there, but it's like, why?
Yeah,
but I'm used to it because, I'm used to it because, like, I am, like, Czech phonics are weird. Like, this is how you spell my last name. And the Z in here is a Z, so Kuzhel. And everybody pronounces it Kuzel, Kuzel. Like, no, it's Kuzhel. And, like, so my mom got the crash course on that. Like, so I'm no stranger to weird phonics. Czech phonics are weird.
Yeah.
And then the grammar you just have to get used to, which I'm trying to learn right now because I've gotten the phonemes and stuff, but it's just the grammar, which isn't too bad.
So I have a lot of things here that I go through, and we go through and we teach, and I go.
Oh yeah, T's actually was able to point out which one her tribe is, because that's in the book.
Yeah, and you go through this. This is another teaching that I do. I make my own. I go through it. There's a lesson plan back here, but I usually go through it and do my own. I make copies so they can have it and they can take it home
and practice.
Do that. These are the basics. I would say right now to get to being taught.
Unfortunately,
Hill is a little behind than Omaha Nation because we haven't had a real fluent speaker in here for a long time.
Is there any fluent speakers left?
There is a few.
That's amazing. I thought because the one I researched it was dead and there was no fluent speakers. That's great because that's dying, and especially with your guys' culture.
Down in Lincoln, my husband, his brother is down here.
Yes,
Yeah,
I've been trying to
he-
find Native people, and I haven't been able to
Yeah.
find them at all. Like I know there's like Unite and stuff, and like I've been trying to get a hold of the. Haven't been able to find them. Crap brain. I'm lagging. I've gotten Tisa's lag. I've lived with her for too long. Anyway, but yeah,
That report card's old.
crap language.
Not having that.
English work, please.
I don't think we're going to
But yeah, it's
So my room, the cultural decor has never looked like this before. I put up the animals. I made those about 2010. I started it. So I'm still adding on every time I find an elder and they tell me how to say it and how to what it is, and I try to get it up there.
How many
So
native
that way-
speakers would you say there are still?
Still,
Yeah.
maybe less than.
It's better than none. And the sad thing is, one of Tisa's told me people don't really retain that information very well. So I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's why I'm also interviewing other people, because this is great and all, but if you can't retain it,
Yeah.
it can't be passed
It
down.
Can be passed down.
Especially, and it's really important in your guys' culture, because you guys don't have a written language very much. Well, I mean, you do obviously, but for a long time you didn't.
Yeah.
And this is all orally passed down traditionally. And if you lose that, you lose a huge part of the
We
culture.
use the whole, yeah.
You lose like
Even if you go through, like right now, we have younger students, so when they see me in the morning, they usually call me grandma.
aw.
And they say, the girls always say, Ianya. And my response back is, Uda Mambli, I'm doing good, I'm walking good. So now we got that part done. The next part is, when I say, Uda Mambli, Vishta. So I'm asking back, well, how are you? And they respond, I'm good, I'm tired, or whatever. And that's our little conversation we had that morning.
Mhm.
And most of the boys, when they see my husband, because he's usually
They
early
say
in the
aho.
morning, and they say, aho to each other.
They got people today.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately though, the stuff I'm looking at, like the university stuff, and they have like stuff and they spell it. I'm like, no, I don't want to spell it. I just want to learn how to say it. Because I mean, you
See,
can.
that's one of the things that past 2 summers now, Mark, my husband and I have been going to, I would call it like rehearsing our,
Why the
What's
energy?
going on? Did they not talk to you?
Mrs. A.
Oh.
So what are we doing? We have no idea.
Go find out and come back.
I know.
Tell me.
Yeah, okay.
So
So I
this
thought
is-
it was just me who had just no idea.
I
No
have
one's
no
communicated
idea.
with me at all.
Nope.
Godzilla.
So
Okay.
this is kind of like what I do with my kindergarten. We start out with our numbers. And as you see on the bottom, I have the colors. Now I put it down for them. I never had them up, but I decided I better put them because it's their eye level.
Well, that's the
As
difference
long
between.
as they see the word, they will know. Now, the word shape. It's not shapey, it's shape.
Shape.
I have a lot of kids always say shapey. It's not
Yeah,
shape,
shonka.
shape. Number 3, there's your TH.
Lovely.
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 And the other one, let me see what is.
So I was wondering what the difference was between so and ska, because they both listed as white. They listed so as white or pale, and but they both listed them as white, not exactly off-white. So that's interesting. I was wondering what the
yeah,
difference between that
that's
was.
what the elders had told us that son is kind of like off-white, and we also use son, son as a bald eagle because the head of the bon is the head. Son, it's telling you it's like off-white.
Mhm. So I was wondering what the difference between that was, because I was just looking through it. I'm like, because they don't specify that in that book, and that's kind of frustrating.
Where's all the markers at?
I don't know. And I put it over there for my high schoolers so they can see it eye level as they come in, as they go through.
Grandma, where are the markers at?
I don't know.
You got 2 of them right there, girl.
No, I want to know.
He's a boy.
Dude.
Fast mistakes, they are made.
I call call everybody dude. I should just call him dude because that's what I call.
Yeah.
I call everybody dude.
They say dude all the time. They call me dude, so I call them dudette.
I call
If
you.
it's a dude calling me
Excuse
dude,
you.
so I call them dudette.
Excuse you.
So, high schoolers, what do I do with my kid? We just went over the months.
And
See,
like,
my kids never, and you can ask these two. They don't know the months, right?
Not to my knowledge.
No.
So that's-
So that's what we started doing, the months, the days. You guys know the days? No.
If it wasn't in
That
the book
was,
you've given me.
yeah, that was, under,
is I saw White Dog. That's like why I'm like. That's why I'm saying this because that's why I'm also interviewing other people because you know all this stuff, but. But I'm trying to also see how much it's retained by like everybody else. I mean, it's good that you're doing this and all this.
Markel. So that's what we, and I also put the numbers over there for them to see. We do that with them, kindergarten. My granddaughter is 4 years old. She goes to Head Start. She always says, "Grandma, where's your finger at?" So I get my finger out. She goes over there, and she can count up to 12 and
That's amazing, especially when like the younger you learn, the easier it is because it's easier for you to shape the words and that kind of stuff. Which is why I'm trying to learn Omaha right now because the younger I get, because I'm young now and I can learn Czech. I can learn Czech later because grammar and stuff is probably also trying to get used to. But I try to learn Japanese and it's very similar to that, which makes sense if you think about how your people got over here. It makes sense, a lot of sense. I'm just trying to do this because I remember though. I think one of the big reasons why you guys, your culture hasn't been as well preserved. Like if you look, because I went to Washington and Oregon on vacation this summer, and they have like around the Olympic Mountains, they have a giant reservation, and they like if you go in the national parks, like underneath they'll have the sign in their language. And I did some research and like they still have like make canoes, they still hunt salmon, but I think it still exists because their main food for English, please. Food source still exists. And I'm like, I was wondering, like, why isn't it like that here? And I'm like, that's because the buffalo's gone. And
we still have deer. That's another ex-dachte.
I'm still trying to get used to it. There's a reason I didn't take German. I'm a Spanish major.
Yeah.
I still can't roll my R's, though, which infuriates me because my friend who like learned German can't. I'm like, you don't even need that.
I was looking in this one. We have this one, and I'm about to do a little thing next year on this book. Now see, this is called written.
That's amazing. So hopefully someday I'll be able to read it, but right now it's just a
Yeah.
side project.
That's what I said. I said
Except-
one of these days, Mark, we'll get through that.
And hopefully I can
Yeah.
reinstate it in Lincoln and just try to.
Yeah.
I'm hoping so because I really want to get that reinstated so people can learn it. Because even if it's just white people, they can help teach other people and hopefully just preserve it.
Yeah, get it. So, like, okay, here, this is what I wanted to show you. Now they have it written in English. And then you go through Omaha, the top one, and they kind of go into how to say it.
Oh, okay.
You
Oh,
see?
yeah, those are the.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, actually, I'm in like culture anthem, and we were going over that. And we were going over like the international phonetic alphabet. I recognize it now. I was like wondering. I'm like, that makes sense. I'm not really familiar with that, but I know what that is. Yeah, and that's really good. 'Cause
I also do that with my high schoolers and my
do you teach them like what these all mean?
yeah.
Interesting.
I say that, and I give them a notebook.
Because that's probably honestly like the best way to be able to, especially with these languages that it didn't start with
Okay, I made my own notebook thing.
Ooh.
Is what they do. La equiwade. La equiwade. It means all what is here, to be good, respectful, and all that.
It's a very efficient language.
So, this is what they do. I would say Omaha, I.e. Gleba.
Creable.
Give me 10 Omaha words.
Yeah, I
So
recognize
they
one of
write
those
it-
words.
So they write it in Omaha, and then they have to put it down in English.
The adult way.
And, I mean, that's
Because the first thing, if you, like
Right.
right now, and it, like I said, my granddaughter, we can say it to her, And she can go along and say them really quick.
And
But
that's
as they get older, you have to
to
see it, hear it, and say it.
and if you write it down, it reinforces
Yeah.
that motor skill. That's why that's why I'm taking notes right here. I don't ever type my notes for that reason, which infuriates me because especially now that the coronavirus is going on, we moved all the courses online, and people are moving out of the dorms. I'm staying in dorms because I don't want to be back with my parents. Thank you very much. Until I have to, because I love my parents very dearly, but I'm not. My parents are stressed enough, and it's just cause I'm a very argumentative child. But yeah, I also Tease was telling me about like the hand games you guys play.
Mm-hmm.
What is the army always made shit like this?
I do hand game. I do. I start them all. Kindergarten, first, and second. I'm teaching them how to hide the stone.
Yeah, I read about that
We
in the
do
book.
that. We teach them to hide the stone. As they get older, third grade, fourth grade, we move our tables. We move them out and put the chairs up. We get it set up. And we pick two people, a male and a female, and they
So you can
sit
practice
there.
the different.
Yeah, they sit there and they're the ones that are in charge. And they get to go out and learn how to do the picking of the people, and we tell them how. Sometimes when the people sit there in charge, they watch people come in, and if somebody teases them or come in late or whatever, then that's who they give a feather to or give a stone to. They're
Do
gonna
they tease them in Omaha or do they tease them in English?
in English.
Yeah,
Sometimes in Omaha, you know,
it's just all
like the
about.
older ones, they would tease in Omaha, they know. So now today,
Yeah.
Omaha Nation, and here we try to get together. We're supposed to get together on Valentine's Day, but we didn't have school. But we still need to get together, and we
Wait.
have a hand game, but we don't split. We put them together, mix them up, and they go to their sides.
So by the way, where would I find? Would I be able to interview any of the elders? Do you think would they would be willing to be interviewed?
Let me see.
I think Liz Whiteeye might be back in town somewhere.
Yeah. But they don't have school, so I don't know where he would be.
Well, I might not interview them today. I might come back because those would also.
And he's down at Omaha Nation School.
Is that in Macy?
Vida's
That's in Macy, correct?
Yeah, and Vida's the head. She's been there for over, I don't know, 20 years or so. And she's the head of culture down there.
Yeah, because I'm.
And she has two elders that are still there. Rufus is down there, and
Those elders needed
Peggy
like fluent
Webster.
speakers.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I should probably interview them as well because I was originally going to focus on language. I'm like, I think culture and language in this culture is so intertwined that I have to include everything. So do you guys go over folklore or anything?
Did we go what?
Like folklore, like the Little Green Men and the Deer Women?
Oh yeah, Bigfoot too.
Bigfoot, so what is Bigfoot in Omaha culture?
C Tonga.
Sitanga?
C-I, oh right up here. S-I, C, right here, my skeleton.
Oh,
C is for foot.
C,
I mean, yeah, S-I. Tonga, T-O, little N on top, G-A.
Sitonga. Is there, so this,
Yep.
Sitonga.
C Tonga. Tonga's
Big.
big.
Yeah, I recognize that because they had kept looking at the elephant because in the book they have like it under elephant. I'm like no, it's sword for elephant, Jay.
Yeah.
Because Tesis told me about Deer Woman and the Little Green Men, and I didn't know if there's any other ones.
The do nots.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, don't whistle, and I actually inherited. I've actually started not doing that because Tesis is just like, it's like, oh crap, I almost whistled tonight, and I'm like, I know, I've just started being paranoid of spirits as well.
Eating in the dark.
Eating in the dark.
Yeah. We don't eat in the dark.
That's something that we break way too
We
often.
close our windows. We
Oh.
leave our curtains open. We close them because they say that the spirits are out there to be looking.
Mhm.
There's another one, and it's all in here.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
in here.
Yeah, I've been looking at the language portion more because I'm just trying to get that.
What's another one that's in there?
Don't whistle at
Oh,
night.
you gotta come in when the sun goes down.
Oh yeah.
With the
'Cause
light,
spirit-
like we tell the kids a lot. With the be in before the lights come on.
Yeah. And, the elders say you're not supposed to be out there. You're not supposed to be seeing what goes on.
Especially, that's partially the reason that we're out during the day. I don't think T's ever mentioned that, but I'm like, I figured.
His Omaha name is Dainapawale.
Dinepawale, what does that mean?
Dainapawale, inspiring buffalo.
Tease, what's your Tease? You have an Omaha name?
No.
Oh,
I think Callie and Amelia first.
how come you don't?
I think they have whole chunk name though.
Yeah. I don't have one because mom didn't want to get one. I think.
Oh,
I'm not sure. Why did mom not want to get it?
I got mine.
what is yours?
I can't remember it.
Dude.
I don't know what they said. You might have to correct me on this. Gagajinga? That sounds familiar or anything?
Yeah.
Which meaning,
Wait, what?
Gagajinga. It's beyond me. I got it when I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Why are you looking at me? I wasn't even born
Well,
yet.
I'm letting you know.
that's really cool, you guys. It reminds me kind of like my mom had this book on like we're actually learning about kinship actually on, and I'm doing kinship diagrams. We actually learned like something because it was actually with the Omaha. There's different like ways because like the kinship is basically a family tree. I'm sure you've like seen it. So like basically like this would be like the
Yeah.
siblings and all that stuff. Tease is a bit messier. I just have to squeeze in stuff lots like, but she's like it's impossible. I'm like no, I did it. Except now it just getting worse.
Anyway, when I call her Gisui, little girl with Indian name.
Mhm. And
Oh, when is the Jawas?
I'm trying to think.
Oh, okay.
That one's longer and his jaw,
I sh-
bottom jaw.
Looks like his mouth's still there. Oh, okay.
I'm laughing though because someone at like our dorm thought she was like Tease was Mexican. I mean, technically they're half right because Hispanic people are half Native, half European. But still wrong. Still very, very wrong.
Might help
Funny enough, this wasn't a conversation about
I used to
speakers
watch
versus
all the
being
old
Mexican.
movies. All the old
Yeah.
cartoon movies. There's a lot about
Did you say Uncle G?
I know
Okay,
that.
Uncle G.
There's
I just
I
watched
just gotta
the
say-
Means no.
already.
the one
I
that
just
came
freaking
out
stared at it
a
and
couple
said,
years ago.
"Look,
Yeah.
I'm American,
Or-
Native American."
The next
Yeah,
one
she's a
they
freaking
have,
wack.
the next
There was a
one
question
they
that
have,
was asked.
it's gonna be
She's a
Godzilla
freaking wack.
versus Mechagodzilla.
There was a question that was asked from
It's-
our
it's not
students
us,
in
it's the
beginning
one
of
they're
school
making
year
now.
from a new.
It's gonna be Godzilla and King Kong versus Mechagodzilla.
He asked
That's gonna be cool.
how does it feel to be
We'll make a Godzilla
American?
win. Because he's the strongest.
Technically they are.
And they were
No,
upset
Godzilla
about it.
and
And they
King
came
Kong are
in
win.
and they were like,
Because
"Oh," and I
Godzilla's
said,
the
"What's
king of
wrong? What's
monsters.
wrong with you?"
Because
And
Godzilla.
You know what he
and
asked us? And I
Mechagodzilla was the
said,
king of the
"What?"
robots. Huh?
So they told me.
There's
And I said,
there's
"You
like
asked me.
9
Ask
different
me." I said, "You
Mechagodzillas.
asked me. I didn't even have time
There's
to think
different
about it.
kinds of
Ask me. I
Mechagodzillas.
already got it."
like with
So
all
they
the movies
asked
they
me,
made, there's
How do you
You-
feel
there's a lot
about
of
America?
Mechagodzillas.
I
They're
said,
cool.
put my hand up and I said, "This is what you're gonna do.
Just
You're gonna correct.
yeah, they're all different
You don't
robots.
holler or
Mhm.
anything.
There's
Put your hand
there's
up. and-
Mechagodzillas
First
that
of all,
fly. Mechagodzillas
I
that
am
shoot lasers
Omaha.
from its eyes, its
Omaha.
mouth.
Actually, my
It
mom.
has
I'm
a-
a woman,
it has a jetpack
and I
and
was
everything.
born and raised here.
You guys are more American than any of us are. Than I am. Well, not any of us. Like any pretty much most people in the dorms and stuff. Like my family, my mom probably the earliest came over probably on the Mayflower or something. My dad's side didn't come over until like in the early 1900s or whatever. They came in through Ellis Island. So-
laser from the circle.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So you guys are more American than any. So you guys are the true Americans. We are not. We are just the outsiders that we just invaded,
That's a big dart.
unfortunately.
It does have, like,
And
the jetpack-
honestly,
the
though,
jetpack
like
has-
I think probably
jetpack will
the
come
reason
up
why
and
I
have
know
these
like you
giant
needed
lasers
history has
shoot-
more than one
shoot
side
up
because
the
I
jetpack.
started to do I took a dual credit like history class.
Lasers
That was like
from
it
here.
had in
It's
like
pretty cool.
other.
Then he
We
has
didn't really
rocket
talk about
fingers,
like the
like little fingers that
middle
shoot out
the
rockets. That's awesome.
Great Plains Indians, which or native which I wish they did, but it was talking more about like the East Coast and all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it was just about like the colonization and stuff as American history. But yeah.
She came in doing one thing out there. And we were talking about.
Oh yeah, you're talking about Alex.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she thinks that she's bi gender, but they don't respect us. She doesn't respect us at all, so I'm not even gonna respect her pronouns because I don't think she does it for attention. She claims that she was autistic. I think she just like she's into like pretending that she's a baby and all that weird stuff. And so she just used us because I took her trick or treating out of the goodness of my heart because I'm like she's autistic. She doesn't.
And like how many we each had. I
Who is this?
She's someone from our dorms. Her name's Alex Went, or Sierra Went. She claimed that she was autistic, that her mom, that she was, her mom was a crack addict and all this stuff. I think she honestly just, like, used us so then she could, like, live out, like, being a child and stuff. Because I know people with autism. I know it's a spectrum. I have ADHD. I have, like, ADHD, bipolar, PTSD, and anxiety. I would know better than anybody. Like, I despise people who, like, so I know that stuff better than anybody. And some of my best friends have depression, and I know how much that affects people.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, so she's like, so you're Mexican, right? And, like, she's like the Oaxaca, like, that's white, right? Oaxaca. I mean, technically that's me, but she's like the epitome of Oaxaca.
Do you know what the word means?
Means white person or non-native.
Yeah, it means to be like white.
Yeah.
Because that was brought, they came up with that word when they came into the mission, when they built the mission, and when they started taking the children, that's how
Hello.
they came up with
How are
that
you?
name. That's my name. This is my granddaughter. Her name
Hello.
is
How are
Emily.
you?
Is that me?
I'm Jordan. How are you? How's school? Is it good?
And her name is Liz Whiteeye,
What does that mean?
Black Buffalo woman.
Oh, nice.
Her mother is Deson.
This
Black
woman?
Buffalo woman. So she's white and she's the black Buffalo woman.
That's cute. I remember we were actually learning with kinship, like, this kind of stuff, like, it was, like, different, like, styles, like, with you guys, what we learned, I'm not sure if this is true, correct me if I'm wrong, that you guys, like, it's, like, the kinship is matrilineal, and not patrilineal, and it's, like, they, like, say, they call, like, the brother, the sister, or the sister of the dad, like, grandma, or, like, mom, or whatever. So that's true. Because I think T's confirmed that because she was telling me, like, how they called their great uncle grandpa. Like, so I was just confirming, because I found that really interesting, because I'm like,
We don't have cousins.
so what do you
We're
call
either
them?
brother and sister. My children would call their aunt, my sister aunt,
Mom.
auntie mom.
Auntie mom.
These guys, they call their uncle dad.
That makes sense, though, because, I mean, that lines up with what we learned about, because I just had never heard of it, Cece never mentioned that before, until I brought it up, and she's like, yeah. So that's what we learned in our
So there's never a first or second cousin.
that makes, no,
They're all,
well, it's just one big family, honestly. It just makes it a lot simpler, because I don't know, my dad's side is Catholic, and there's so many freaking cousins. I just wish I could call them brother and sister, especially, like, my cousins and my mom said, like, they're practically like brother and sister to me. That would just make everything so much easier. But it's interesting, though, because it just shows, like, the kinship relationship. I'm sorry, I'm not putting it under a microscope. This is just I mean, I'm a freshman, but this is, like, the stuff that we've been taught how to, like, look at stuff.
Like today,
You're
all
welcome,
our
Michelle.
elders, they're,
I need to know my name.
hey, watch out.
Don't hit my roommate.
One of them is, actually, he calls me mom.
Really?
One of our elders calls me mom.
Yeah.
Because of the, relationship that he had with my grandfather and my grandmother.
Exactly the same.
So then, now he calls me mom, he's my son.
Is he younger than you?
He's older.
That's interesting. That's fascinating. Yeah, like kinship, like this is like a whole nother thing. Like in like Spanish and stuff, like in all of the Romance languages, they have words for primo, prima, which is like cousin. But this is like actually really interesting. Like so, kinship diagram
That's
actually.
in here too.
Yeah, we learned that in my anthrop class when we were learning about kinship because I have intro to cultural, which I'm really sad about because those were my favorite classes because it was more like discussion classes, and that was one of my favorite professors, and we're not meeting anymore, and this makes me really sad. She's the one who's been helping me with like all this stuff, and so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to because of the coronavirus. I'm not sure if because I heard that there's actually a powwow at like MCC. I'm not even sure if that's gonna be available now because I'm like no. Well,
Yeah.
fortunately, I think I might actually just send it in next May because I'll have more time to gather information. I'm only submitting a portion of this for
That
my
way
class.
it should be alright in August and you can come to ours.
Yeah. Geez,
It's
you're
the oldest. We're the oldest. But they used to have it down bottom.
They did?
Maybe you guys can take her to ride down to Big Elk. There's a part right there, huge opening. That's where they used to have Paulo many, many years. There's a trail that goes up, but you have to hike. It goes to the old mission.
Ooh.
The old mission. And it's not all there. It's just like the bottom part of it. Just, if I had time, I could have made copies for you.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be back one of these days.
Okay. But I wanted to just...
'Cause especially since I'm gonna have so much more time.
On your hands now at school.
So, 1924, my grandfather, Samuel L. Robinson, was one of the head guys with the Helushka.
Helushka? What's that?
It's what we call war dance.
Oh.
And they're the ones that moved it in town to where it is, where the Polo Grounds is now.
Mhm. They actually in Moral Hall right now. There's a whole exhibit of the tribes, and they have Teese was able to point out like you guys have beautiful dancing costumes. It's beautiful purple. Ones that she pointed out anyway. And the beadwork. I wish I had the patience to do that. Like I have a bead room at home, and I just don't have the patience.
Yes, right here. Here's the old mission that for all the kids. Have you ever read the book Middle Five?
No, I'll actually probably just write that down because
Yeah, you need to write that. I mean, read it. It tells about this.
What is it called again?
The Middle Five. You guys remember that book?
So Teese was telling me about the absolutely
I don't think we
true
read it
event
last
tales
year.
of a part-time Indian, which I still need to get. And I still need
Oh
to read.
yeah, that's funny.
Now you're a part-time Indian. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, apparently my boyfriend actually read that, and like they had like apparently they were both right, but it was a weird thing. I'm like,
We argued about the part with the supervisor when his sister died. Like, I said he ran away. He said that he got a boner.
and so they got an argument over that, and then Teese actually had to go.
That's a
I
weird
looked it
book.
up and downloaded the entire thing. And I found the part, and
When you was reading it, did you read it like him? Like you're a big Indian? That's how I read it. I was laughing away, and I had to read it out loud because Albert Mary wanted to know what I was laughing about.
Yeah, that's a book I
Here's
saw.
the poem back in 1938.
I'm guessing this was like the boarding school they were all forced
It
to
was
go
the
to.
boarding school
Which that makes me so mad because they were showing that, and it just breaks my heart because like, that was a whole thing. Like
But it wasn't too far away from the village.
still, but they were still
Yeah.
trying to strip you guys of the culture, and it makes me awful because like pretty much half like looks like last semester is just white guilt, just like tons and tons of white guilt. I'm like, no.
So this one was 1918. This was I'm pretty sure this was down there at the Big Elk. And real quickly, I want to show you a picture. I'm in 1946.
She's beautiful.
That's funny.
No, Catcher in the Rye is a book I read personally. That was assigned to
We
me.
were actually laughing because there's a
So
picture
this
of
is
like
assigned to
the
several
boarding
different
school
books.
at Moral Hall,
So
like
our
the
own
class,
tastes
and like
are things
everybody's
that we
just
would
looking
enjoy.
like shocked and
find
stuff, and then there's like
interesting. So I got
one
assigned
white
Catcher
girl
in
or
the
something
Rye,
just
which is
like
a banned book,
acting normally and really just laughing. So I'm like,
which was a bad book at the time. Right?
there's one white girl.
I think there's like here's
Night.
one,
There's a couple
Night
of
was
those.
about
three of them.
You can tell by the hair
It
color.
was about the Jew who survived the Holocaust.
Oh, three of them.
And you can tell by the hair color and the hair
Yeah, right.
texture. Because a lot of them, I mean, it's pretty similar skin color, except for the hair color.
The movie apparently did it no justice.
For what?
Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
Oh yeah.
They talk about the old books I read in high school.
We had to read Night by Elie Wiesel.
Great book.
That is such a good book, right? We had to read that my freshman year.
It was a great book.
We read Night by Elie Wiesel, and we read another one.
Where the Red Fern Grows.
That was middle school, my dude.
I remember reading that with Mary. And the other one. what was it?
Yeah, I actually studied Africa for my. There's a really good book that I love. It's called When Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. It's about like pre-colonial and post-colonial Africa, because that's what we learned. Because I did academic decathlon in high school. I also did quiz bowl because I was an athletic. I did nerd sports.
And I know that book.
So I'm fast on the buzzer. I got fast reflexes when it comes to like buzzers.
Oh yeah.
But like basically academic decathlon is just competitive test taking thing, the
He was,
ACT, but random
Usain
stuff.
Bolt, and he was
So then the music and that kind of stuff, and that's just fascinating. I'm actually in my other class, my other anthrop class, we have to actually this is an ethnography, but we have to do an ethnography. And mine, I'm doing that. So we couldn't do like Native American tribes. I did one. This is the Suya, which is a tribe in like a Native American tribe in Brazil, in the Amazon, and it's like a musical ethnography, and it talks about their music and that kind of stuff, which I've always loved. Music is a huge part of my life, and that stuff I've also like. And I actually had a CD, so you can hear it, and it's amazing. And like it talks about the naming ceremonies and stuff too, which I find fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But
So in our Omaha way, when you get your Omaha name, 4 days after you're born, they also put the moccasin on you that has a hole in the bottom.
what does the whole signify?
It signifies that the spirit don't come after your child.
Oh,
They
Cool.
see the hole, they'll leave the child alone.
like don't mess with me.
Mm-hmm.
So is it kind of like almost like a baptism, sort of?
Yeah, kind of. That's also in here too.
Yeah,
in the book.
it's just so much information. I'm just trying to get the language portion out of it before I go on that, because it's just a lot. And unfortunately, I can't actually use that for this project because it has to be interviews. And I mean, there's the Indian Center in Lincoln, the Native Center in Lincoln right now, but I haven't been able to call them or anything. I don't know what's going on.
Well, Sheridan's
Are
down
they
that
even
way.
open?
I don't know. They've been having financial problems recently.
But I know they pulled together to do that thing for Ashley. That passed.
Oh,
That's the
yeah.
last time I heard anything about them using that center.
Yeah.
Unless that was in Omaha. There's no
But yeah, there is a lot of Omaha people that live there.
Yeah, in Lincoln, unfortunately, it's really hard to find them because they're spread out. And I know there's like the Unite, which is like the native. There's like Oasis, which is like for like minorities, but then there's Unite, which someone told me about. And I've been trying to get a hold of the head of that, but so I can talk to some people on campus. But I haven't been hearing him. I've tried calling White Hill. I'm probably going to go back to Mason. My parents like, I don't want you going back and forth, but that's probably in a couple weeks so I can sort through all this information that we get and that kind of stuff. But yeah, let's see. What else did I have? Superstitions. Hold on, I gotta look at my abstract.
And like my grandson Markel, we never cut his hair.
I know, I was
My
wondering.
oldest one that is
Is there a significance to that?
We always just say that it gives them strength.
Oh yeah, we learned about that in my Anthro of the Great Plains. I should have remembered that. I feel really stupid because I made notes of that and I found that really interesting.
Okay, right there. Yeah, they're related. He's related to them. That's your nephew, right?
Or Alex? Yeah.
Alex.
Mm-hmm.
And he had long hair too. His dad had long hair, and then we got to the point where they got tired of being called the girl.
Well,
You already have blue clothes on.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Honestly though,
that's-
with my name is Jordan, and my mom said when I was really little, like I got like called for like modeling and stuff, and they called me a he because of my name. My mom still says that my dad wanted to name me after Michael Jordan, and the thing is, I suck at all sports. Because Michael Jordan was his hero, and my dad was eminent on naming me Jordan because he was going to be Jordan or he was going to be Jenna, or if it was going to be Tyler if I was a boy. But Dad wanted to name me Jordan, and he would not budge. So here I am.
that's how you got the name, huh?
My dad won't admit it, but my mom still says she wanted to name me after Michael
Everybody should
Jordan.
have a story of how they got their name.
I was the oldest child, so
I think you guys all have stories how you got your name, right?
Named after my grandpa.
Yeah.
Even after
see?
another sibling. Or not sibling.
wasn't your name after your aunt or something?
Huh?
Were you named after your aunt, or was it?
Thing.
That's what you told me. I think.
Sibling, not sibling, I mean someone in the family.
In the family.
Technically, your aunt is your mom, or yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that confusing. It actually makes a lot of sense if you think about it. It's just not like it's again a thing of the model of anthropology is making the familiar strange and the strange familiar.
Yeah.
So what else? Let's see.
No idea. No, Phil was named after her uncle. After
Folklore, common superstitions,
So long named after her cousin. He just named it after
kinship, So do you guys do like dance? Do you guys learn dancing or whatever, like power dances, or is that like a separate thing?
They're separate. There you have
That's
a
what
gore
I thought.
dance. You have a gore dance that is now with the Omaha people.
What did you say
my
that was called
husband
again?
does that, gore dance.
A what?
Let me see if I can find gore dance.
I'm just trying to see what it's
Oh,
called.
very good. He has a blanket on, right up there, that picture.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they wear. They wear their blanket. The red goes on the right, represents the morning.
I like the morning sun.
Yeah, and the blue represents the evening. Goes on the left.
And it's beautiful.
They have their own music. It's actually called the gentleman's dance. Like from the story that I was told to me from an elder that's no longer here, that the red wolf was going home. This is back in the days
The
when
red what now?
red wolf.
Red wolf.
Yeah, when the natives and the animals used to talk. So the red wolf was coming and he was going home, and as he walked up on top of the hill, and he was coming down, he heard this beat, this drum, this rattle, and he stood there, and he stood up on his hind legs, and he started that dance. So that's how the gore dance came about. And at the end of their song, they always go, you know, like the
Yeah, like a
red
wolf.
Yeah. So that's one dance we have. We have the hand game, and like I said, our war dance, Helushka.
Huska, that's what I was thinking. It's probably not spelled right. I'm just spelling it phonetically for right now.
And
So I've noticed that headdresses. What we learned though is that since this actually kind of makes me sad because the bald eagle is so endangered. You guys don't get to. You guys have to like wait for it to like die or drop feathers for you to be able to use it in headdresses and stuff. So I use.
a feather is
Wait, no. Wait, the eagle feathers is
The
a
eagle
similar
feather.
respect. I'm thinking of
Yeah.
the headdress. The headdress. That's not made of eagle feathers. It's made of turkey feathers, right?
no.
No?
Eagle feathers.
Okay.
Only usually with us, only our chiefs had them,
Mhm.
and when they are no longer a chief, they still can wear them. But as I don't have one in here. I used to have one, but I took it home.
Yeah, but what we learned.
Right over here,
Mhm.
over here on the wall, is a crow bustle. That's what we use. The men use. This is that's Alex's.
Mhm. What we
And
learned.
his name is I forgot now. Dainukapa.
Benukopa, which means.
It's part of the head part, the skull of the buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
Jinga.
I've actually had buffalo.
Yeah.
Tisa and I were kind of laughing that the white person has buffalo and the native person has it because one of my grandpa's friends, my mom was over in Chester, which is like Kansas Nebraska border. He raised buffalo, and so like I think it was like mixed between it was a hybrid cow thing, and so he used to have a buffalo rug. I'm like, I don't know where it went, but
I got it.
I remember
I got two of them here.
I have a strong memory of like I was little. My grandpa used to have it, and I used to wrap myself up like a tortilla, like a taco, like a burrito, and my parents couldn't get me out of it. I'm like, I refuse to leave it.
The story on the bustle and that on the where the eagle feathers are on, the white part.
Yeah.
It's told. The story is told that it's to represent the droppings of the pigeon. Now, when these guys were over in war, they never seen a what do you call them? Missile coming through.
Mm.
When they seen that missile coming through, and it was white, and
Yeah.
it came out of this big old airplane. So that big airplane was a pigeon,
Makes sense.
and was coming out as a bird dropping.
Well, makes sense.
So that's why they have those on there that represent the
Right.
veterans.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me though of like the Navajo code talkers and how genius it was because nobody knew like their language,
Mhm.
and so they were basically like a heroes of the war, and that's like incredible. Unfortunately, like I wish that they like Omaha. That's why I'm working so hard and like doing all this stuff because this is just the beginning of. Because I'm trying to specialize in this area with Native studies, especially with the Omaha and Ponca and all them. Right now, I'm just doing Omaha because that's my roommate Tease is Omaha, and that's kind of where I've got the most exposure. And plus, I'm just curious because like people don't really know. People don't talk about this culture very much because they remember like. You hardly ever see
My
it.
thing is when I go places and I go to a basketball and I keep book. So when I go somewhere far away, I teach them about Omaha people and they go, can you write that down for me? I had one guy, one history teacher, he said, can you write your tribe down for me? And is it okay if I look it up? And I said, sure, you can even call the school if you need anything. I'll help you out with
That's
it.
good. You gotta spread that stuff.
So we teach them how to say, I teach them how to say, Wiblaha.
Iblaha.
And the boys say, Wiblaha ho.
Iblaha ho, because it's
So
a
I
male,
teach
because they
them-
have the
yeah,
other ho.
I teach them that and they go, oh, thank you. Another thing I teach them is Nebraska is the Omaha word.
Mhm. I thought it was Oto.
No, Omaha word. Nebraska.
Yeah.
Knee is water, blask is
Flat water.
Ska is that sprinkle in that flat water.
Mhm.
And you know Lincoln, what they're called. Huh?
I know. I didn't actually. I saw that when I was flipping through the book when I was like just kind of waiting for them to come back. I didn't really try to pronounce it though because I was just trying to find the grammar because I got lost. But what is it?
Niskide.
Niskide.
What is Niskide?
Skide.
You have your plate.
Salt.
Salt.
Oh, ski. Yes, salt. Ski. Yeah, that's another thing I'm still trying to get used to, is trying to dissect them, because I tried to do it on my own before I got the book, because I got really excited because I was starting to learn how to conjugate on my own, like, yes, but I'm like, there's not enough information, I gotta learn more. Because I don't know, I suck at math and stuff, but apparently that's the one part of my left brain, because I like languages, and I've always have been.
There's always the Omaha app.
I know that's what I got. It's like the only thing I've been able to find for the.
There's another one called what is that? Omaha Building.
Because I have the Omaha Basic on
But
my
that
phone.
goes into like it goes into actually like teaching you. Here you listen, you hear, and at the end you have to spell it.
Oh no, spelling.
I mean they're all on there. You just have to put it in order.
Okay,
but,
that's because this is what I have right now. This is what I've been using the book.
Yeah.
But this is what I first started. This is what I was using for some of the phrases. But this is like the only thing I have for the. Okay, so go on.
What was it?
So how plants don't touch
Oh, like
animals.
okay, like deer. If you're a duck ball. Where's my finger? If you're a duck ball, then you don't touch deer.
Dappa? Is that like a tribe?
No, it's on your. It's on your the clans. These are
Oh, the clans. That's not a tribe. I'm a clan.
This is elk.
Elk.
This is what is it now? Oh, black shoulder. These are the leaders. Lothada has 5 of them.
So this is Teese's mom's. The wood.
Wood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gonze.
Onze.
That's the wind. They don't make plans or anything. Then you have your sky people. See, it's a sky. Then you have your mound builders. These are the ones they help build the earth lodges.
I know.
You just had to get all.
I've actually been in
everything
one of those. There's one like there's a recreation in Kansas that my grandpa took me to when I was really little, and I took lots of pictures, and I still remember that because my grandpa again was a history teacher. So every vacation, even still with my mom, is a field trip. We have to watch. Like we even went to New York a couple of years ago, and we had to watch a documentary on New York. My brothers all fell asleep though, and my dad too. My mom has a picture of it on Facebook.
So this one is the tail
Dale.
of the tail, descende of the.
Oh, the corn.
Of the buffalo.
Oh, that was the
Now
tail.
now you have your deer clan people. This is the red shoulder of the newborn calf that's being born. You know how the blood is that's where that came from. This is Thunder Clan.
Mm-hmm.
Now these ones you don't throw water on them because it's gonna rain.
So you have superstitions along with that too.
Along with that, and they also the boys had special haircuts.
Really?
special haircuts.
Is that
for
carried out to this day, or is it stopped?
It stopped. They
So-
did that back in the day because
You guys were all together, and you kind of
we
had.
were never together. All the females always went with the females. All the males went with the
So you got to
males.
figure out who was
Yeah.
whose.
So that's how the elders knew what clan you were and who you belonged to.
Well, so that's smart.
Mm.
So what would like be an example of one of those?
Let me see, where do I have one? Do I have one in there?
If you can't, that's fine.
You know, if you have the you don't have an Omaha tribal book in your library?
No, unfortunately. I mean, I'm sure I could, but
They should be there.
I'm hoping they do. I can
Yeah.
probably look, but also the library stuff, like, it's like everything's like limited and it's remote. Like honestly though, I get it, but they're probably
right
just
there.
the remote classes. I think are.
Okay, this one's Gonze.
Gonze?
Gonze. And it shows that's how the boy had their hair cut.
Mm-hmm.
So that way everybody would know, oh, he's Gonze.
So
he
once-
belongs to
So once they
whoever.
were grown, they grew their hair out,
Mhm.
correct?
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm like, how old was that around?
They would do that till about 12 years old. Yeah.
Because I actually remember seeing probably one of those haircuts because we were watching this documentary. It was like really stupid. It was dated, and but they were showing like what it might have looked like. And I remember like the boy was probably about 11 or 12, and he
Yeah.
had the haircut still.
And then
It was that was the one that he had. It was
Dappa.
the Dappa.
That's deer clan.
It kind of looks like a deer tail.
Yep. They made it to where what they should look like. Okay. This is the Thunder Clan.
Oh, it looks like a
So
cloud.
it's like yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I'll have to see if they have that because that would be very useful. Although I can't technically I can't use that in my thing, but I can know what you're talking about now for research. But I can't cite that. That's what really sucks. I'm like, my friend's like, you could choose a different project. You could use this book. I'm like, no, I can't because I have to. No,
Yeah.
that's not technically an ethnography. And it's not written by an anthropologist or whatever, and you have to get interviews.
Yeah.
Of course I picked the hardest one, but my professor just laughed. She's like, I know how that is. She is like, she just got her, like, I think her PhD a couple years ago. She did, like, the Berber people of Morocco. And, like, the gender and, like, the horse, like, with horses and stuff, because that's typically a male-dominated thing.
Mm-hmm. So here's one with the teepee and an earth lodge.
Mm-hmm. Earth lodges are super
Yeah.
cool. They're, like, because I've been in one. I think it was, like, one of the Kansas things. It was, like, Kansas, because it was down in Kansas. It was in Republic, Kansas. But it had, like, and we learned about those too in the Great Plains thing. From what we learned too with the teepees, like the woman owned the teepee and she owned everything in the teepee, and if the guy didn't behave, she could kick him out.
Yeah.
And I think that might possibly still kind of work to this day, because I remember Teese was telling me how her mom kicked her dad out. I'm like, it still happens and it still exists, which I mean that's actually kind of. Like, if you look at other cultures, like, with Egypt and stuff, and, like, some of, like, the African ones, because those are, like, matriarchs mostly. I don't know. I don't know if this would be egalitarian or not. It doesn't really matter. But a lot of, like, especially Europeans, it's probably they're savages, because women had a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
Men still mostly with the chiefs and stuff.
In our Omaha way, that was their home. The men had to go out and do their share.
Mm-hmm.
So
They
we
hunted
were
and gathered
always-
firewood, correct?
We were always equal. Nobody was higher than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I do today. I try to keep my kids, little ones, starting off with them. Where no, you're not. Just because you're sitting over here first, doesn't mean you're better than anybody in here.
That's something that
If
we
you're
should.
going to sit there and you're not going to behave, you're going to act up. I can call upon anybody else in here to get up and take that role of leading everybody out to the class.
That's something that we can all learn, especially a lot of people in our dorms. I can tell you that much, because that's another story for another time, though. Teese can tell you, this girl never gets mad, but she yelled a couple weeks ago.
I know. I never hear her.
I know.
I never heard her.
There was only one culture teacher that heard me yelling. That was once, and that was the other culture teacher.
And so yeah, if you know that she yells and she's bugged by something, something's wrong. Because I'm
Did
usually
you
the one.
want it or not?
Oh yes, I'd love that. Thank you so much. So I have this part, but I don't have like the names that go under it. But yeah, so let's see what else. I'm trying to think. What else did we learn? I'm trying to think of like the stuff we learned in like the cultural anthro class. Or not the cultural anthro, the anthro of the Great Plains, which was last semester. So yeah, we did learn that they were egalitarian. We also learned about like the shamans and stuff. Like women could be shaman too, but they had to be like postmenopausal, correct? Because they were older and then they had a better connection to the spirit world.
Mark of Honor.
Michael Bonner, yeah.
Have you talked about the Mark of Honor?
Mark of Honor. It rings a bell, but remind me again what it is.
It's where the women have the mark. They have a mark right here. And they also have one like a sun, and they usually have one on their top of their hands.
So what is that like? Is it like plant or charcoal?
No, it's it's tattoo.
Oh, tattoo. So they actually like.
From the story that I got, that it's the west of Macy there on the hill. The part where it looks like a bubble, that's where they used to take the young girls around 12 years old. The grandmas would make a little bitty pillow like this, about like that, a little pillow. They'll put it on the ground. Nobody else can go in there, just their grandpas or uncles are there. And they had this certain chant, and it would go forever. The girls would stand there and dance, but their heel could not touch that pillow.
Oof.
If they can do that throughout that whole chant, how long the grandpas and uncles sang it, they're the one that got the Mark of Honor. Usually our Mark of Honor women are the ones that take care of the orphans. Or something happened, they would take that child.
Were they still able to? Were they still able to have kids? Like.
No.
No. Okay. What else can you tell me? I'm willing to hear anything you have to say in all honesty, but my brain is lacking. Tease, you infected me with the lag.
Yes.
Yes, you did.
I know virus. Not the corona, but just lagging.
That's what they say too, keep burning your sage. I smudge my kids up as much as I can. If they need it, I will. I have it right here. Today I didn't bring my lighter, so I didn't get to. I do have kids come in and say I need to be smudged, so I will smudge them.
Smudge them? Like
Yeah.
you put ashes or you
No,
put?
we light that and they take the.
I do
Also
that.
say a little prayer for yourself.
I do that with mint sometimes, except we can't burn stuff in the dorms. So I used to it's the same thing kind of with tea. I miss that because we have like spearmint tea. We had spearmint plants back home. They got into the strawberries, so I always picked them and I dried them. And I would make tea, and we have a tea ball. So I would grow chamomile, and I would make chamomile mint tea. I miss that because my dad grew up on a farm, and we have a huge garden, and so I know about gardening. I know because we were forced to weed stuff. Remember, we also learned though. I don't know. I'm pretty sure the Omaha was semi-nomadic, correct? You guys were semi-nomadic because you also guard your garden and then you hunted the buffalo, correct? So I know that the Sioux are nomadic. But we also learned like how you guys the way because you guys planted the pumpkins, and then they had the vines, and they had the corn, and then the vines with the beans grew on the corn, which is really genius. It's just. Yeah, especially I know for firsthand because my dad grows cucumbers and squash, and I know how those vines get everywhere. Yeah. Well, thank you for your time, and if I have any questions, I'm probably gonna come back one of these days or go to Macy or something. So thank you so much for your help. I really appreciate it.